Well, hey retro community, how's everyone doing? Today's video is going to be going over the PS3 Super Slim. Remember from a previous pickups video, I picked up a 4-repair console lot. It came with a fat PS3, this PS3 Super Slim, as well as a Wii and an Xbox. I've already repaired the Xbox, and we did test the Wii out and both PS3 consoles. The fat one does not work. It seems to have the yellow light of death, which will be a fun adventure, I'm sure, in trying to repair that one. The Wii worked, and this worked as well, too. The only thing I haven't tested yet is internet network functionality. And as most of you might be aware, Sony is planning on shutting down the PS3 store at some point. They were going to do it July, I believe. After some pushback from the community, they're going to postpone it a little bit, so I definitely want to replace the CMOS battery in here at the very least, because we know that based on various reports that once the PSN network is down for the PS3, and once that clock battery dies, any digital purchases will probably no longer work, and maybe even some physical titles too. So, but anyway, enough rambling for this video. I just want to tear it apart, clean it, do a little bit of a refurb. You can see there's some scuffs on here. It's missing some pieces of plastic, including the hard drive cover. Definitely dirty. And in another pickups video, I did pick up some spare parts. I forget if it was Amazon or eBay. But I've got a replacement hard drive cover, as well as replacement front and back bezels, I guess is the best way to call it. So can definitely get this thing restored near stock condition. I'm not able to find a cover for the mount, the screw that turns this, that attaches the stand that turns it into a vertical console. I'll keep looking, but for now, what we're going to do is tear this down, make sure there's nothing physically wrong inside, leaky capacitors, etc., and give the plastics a cleaning. Wipe the laser clean in case there's any dust on there. Maybe replace the internal hard drive with an SSD, we'll see. Then we'll put it all back together along with these new spare parts and go from there. Now, one thing that I like to do when I take apart consoles is I'll sit there and take a sheet of paper and kind of draw out, for example, on the bottom there's some screws underneath here. So I'll draw out the bottom and I'll either mark down what screws go in there, or in some cases I'll actually poke the screw through that spot just so that it looks as close as possible to where they originally went, so it's easier to replace the screws, especially if there's like one screw that's longer than another. So there are rubber feet that need to be removed. There's one missing, unfortunately. Actually, maybe not all of them. This one, I don't think there's a screw under here, but I know there's one here, and I think some of the other ones have them as well. And then there's also some screws underneath these bezels. In fact, I think there. And it doesn't matter that I broke that foot off because I've got replacements. So, especially since it's kind of scuffed up anyway, and I don't really feel like buffing it out or anything like that. So go ahead and, yeah, so there's some additional screws here. So I'll just draw like a little diagram, mark them off. I believe these are just specific to the drive, although they may need to be removed as well. We'll get going. Areas that I'm not going to really need to necessarily diagram it out, like this one hard drive screw, I'll just throw them into this ice tray and I'll just draw that out here. I'll go there, and then the drive, just you slide this little lever out and it just comes out. And this is a 250 gig drive, which means this is the 250 gig model. Don't have any 250 gig SSDs on hand. I've got a 120 and I got a 480. I might just pick up another 250 gig SSD, 240 gig probably, and just go from there. So there's that. There are screws on the side here, and these appear to be Torx, security Torx. Not sure of the size. Mind you, I might not need to take out every screw to take this apart. I saw some disassembly guides, but I may just do it just to be on the safe side so I can remove each and every single piece and clean it. I did this with my Xbox One. And then just something like this here. So that way I'll know exactly where they go. So let's take a look at the bottom here. Now this foot was already removed. And there are no screws, I believe. Yeah, it's just, let's try taking the rest of these out. And then there's one hidden under this little warranty sticker, which definitely doesn't matter anymore because this thing hasn't been under warranty in a long, long time. And I don't believe there are any other hidden screws over here. So, switch to a Phillips bit. So we've already got both bezels removed, one because it was already removed and then there was the other one. So in order to get completely inside, we need to remove the rest of these screws, and these appear to be just Phillips screws. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing under the sticker here. But I might not need to remove it. Let's see. There's cables or something holding this in place. Oh yeah, ribbon cables galore. I wonder if this disc trap will come out if I just remove these 2 screws. It'll probably release the lower mechanism. Those also appear to be T8s. But makes it easier, that's for sure. So here I'm assuming is the mechanism to control the door. In fact, yeah, you can see. And then just a little bit of, I'm guessing some sort of mechanism comes out, doesn't necessarily latch it in place, but it keeps it from just reopening again like that. We'll clean the gears off, apply a little bit of silicone grease onto them just to relubricate them, as well as this area here, which is the little mechanism that lets the PlayStation know that the door is closed and you can start reading the disc. It helps avoid injuries and whatnot. So here's the inside of PS3. Hoping that the B-roll gets a good look at it. We've got the fan here, the optical drive here. My guess is that underneath this gigantic plastic shroud is going to be the heatsink, and then under some shielding, the motherboard. I can already see part of it, so I'm gonna have to take this apart further, and it's going to be fun from here because there are a ton of parts everywhere. Before I go any further, I'm going to take a look and see. Yeah, so this part is broken off, and it's hard to say if that was broken off during shipping. All right, so I was able to get it loose, and it is definitely broken, but we will glue it back in place once I'm done cleaning everything, because as you can see, there is definitely a ton of dust. So the optical drive here, and it looks like the ribbon just pulled right out, which is not a good thing to happen out of the ZIF socket there. And it goes underneath the shroud, which I will have to then remove if I want to remove the rest of the optical drive. Let's go ahead and disconnect the fan before I forget, as well as I'm guessing the power supply. Oh, those are the antennas actually. So we won't just yank them out. We'll still put the screws in here, and I will place these once I can remove them. This is just a power supply module here. Throw that in there, power supply. That's using that 2-wire connector that PS4 uses, as well as the Xbox One, maybe even the 360. So there's the power supply. We'll try to take it apart and give it a good cleaning as well. Anyway, as you can see here, better look at the heatsink, the shielding, hard drive bay itself. It's the power button. There's no eject button on this model. So it looks like all that's left to remove here are a few screws, which should remove this entire section here. And there we go. Oh, there is still a connector here. Just a 0 insertion force. So here's the inside. Bottom shell, a little bit of dust appropriately near the heatsink area and everything, so that's fine. Should be easy to take out the rest of the electronics, or just a power button and the wireless antenna, and get that a good bath. And then here's the bottom of the board. It's a little shiny, so I hope the light reflecting off of it isn't too bad. And then it looks like, just to remove the rest of this assembly, I just have to take out the screws that are here. Three more screws to remove. Actually, probably 4. There's a bottom shield. Not bad. A little bit of dust again, but manageable. I don't see any more screws underneath. I don't know if anyone else does. And let's see. It's like some sort of residue. I'm not sure if that's flux or something else. Probably just flux, I'm hoping, but we'll find out. That should be it. And there we go. So there's the heatsink slash top shielding. A little bit of dust there. Looks like the fan itself is held on with some screws, so I'll take care of that off camera and get that clean. Looks like they're just using really basic thermal paste, and it doesn't even cover the entire top of the CPU. CR2032, you're getting replaced. We'll do a once over, check the capacitors, make sure there's nothing leaking. After I give it a good cleaning, of course, because there's dust and that could interfere within the examination, although quick spot checks shows that everything looks fine. So bottom of the board again, that looks pretty clean except for that weird gunk. Like I said, it could be just flux residue. But there we go. There's the PS3 Super Slim disassembled. I'll give it a cleaning. We'll examine the board further. We'll put it back together and hope that everything still works. All right, everything should hopefully be clean now. Although I did notice on the bottom shell that there were some scratches and stuff. I tried to buff them out, but they're just too deep. And you know what? It's on the bottom, so I don't really care. It's hidden from view. I did also add a little bit of silicone grease to these gears here, just to help them hopefully last a little longer. It came out all right. Not perfect again, but that's all right. The power supply was a little difficult to open up, on top of the fact that there are 4 screws of 2 different types. There are also clips all the way around. The other thing that was kind of interesting to take apart was the heatsink and fan combo. I got the fan mostly clean. There's some spots where I was not able to get in there to remove the dust. It is what it is. So here's the bottom shielding. Just, hopefully that didn't flash bright light too much. And of course the main board itself cleaned up pretty easily. Just a little bit of dust here and there. I did manage to get rid of that weird brown stain. I'm not sure what it was. I'm still thinking it was flux, just leftover flux, but everything should be good to go now. And of course the laser assembly, wanted to keep that safe and separate. That's all nice and clean now too. So I'm just going to put everything back together, apply some fresh thermal paste. Welcome to another montage. And now it's time for my patented janky setup. So I've got the console put back together. I have this really cheap third-party controller. I didn't want to spend money on an actual PS3 controller in the event that this didn't work, so I got this one. But of course, as we saw in the initial eval video, that it does work. At least it did before I took it apart. Let's see if I didn't break anything. Power light comes on. Now, I don't know if it's going to output video or not because this was originally set to component out. And, oh, maybe it will work over HDMI. Yes. Controller does not seem to be doing anything though. Just trying to sync. There we go. Let's see what happens. Yep, 1080p, so that works. That's a good sign. I did replace the battery, so that's why the clock got reset. What's today's date? No, I did not factory reset this yet. We'll see if I do that at some point. I do want to replace the hard drive with an SSD, and I have it on order. If it comes in before this video gets published, I'll probably do that upgrade. Otherwise, it'll just be a future one. Looks like there are no games built in or on the hard drive, so let's go ahead and put in Assassin's Creed so we can make sure that the disk drive still works. I don't hear the disk drive doing anything. I might not have, one of the cables might have gotten unplugged. Looks like I'll have to take it apart and try again. Yeah, I forgot to connect the power cable to the drive, so I had to take apart the top shell. But, you know, everything is working. I did test it before I put it back together, just to be on the safe side. Also, I didn't mention it before, but I did fix that one post that was broken. I glued it back on. Seems to be holding, so there's the drive engaging. And it's working, so successful refurb. Like I said, if the SSD comes in before this video gets posted, I'll install it. You know, we'll go through the process of recovering all the software and everything. If it doesn't come in, I'll just make a future video about it. Here's one kind of nice thing about this cheap controller is that there are, it's hard to see, but there are these grips that are in the, whatever you call these things, these arm, hand grab things, whatever. So it kind of makes it a little comfortable to hold, but it just kind of feels cheap. Wish I could just go straight to a game, but I guess not. So, or maybe I can, I don't remember. Yes, I want to skip for now. I'll play this game later. quick addendum, I forgot to test PS1 game functionality on here. Ah, the classic BIOS screen. With jagged edges because it's HDMI and there's no scan lines. I don't know if it's coming through as well on camera, but it is definitely blurry text. This is definitely designed for a time when TVs had scan lines. And I don't even know if there are options for PlayStation 1 video settings or anything like that. Aw. Oh well. That was a kind of cool little thing that they added to the game's loading screen. You wanted to see me crash into the wall? Jerk.
3 laps to go.
This was included in Ridge Racer. What game is this again? Ridge Racer Type 4. Basically, it's a 60 frame per second version of the original Ridge Racer, but it's a limited version of the game. It's not the full game. But yeah, PS1 games do work on here, which is really cool. I'm pretty sure it's through emulation, but that's fine. It seems to run well. I really want to look up to see if there's any options for video modes and things like that. I don't think there were, but I don't know because I'm not familiar with the PS3. So there, PS1 games work. And so if you like this video, go ahead, hit the thumbs up. And as usual, feel free to subscribe, although never any obligation. I do appreciate it though. If you didn't like the video, hit the thumbs down. But please leave a comment below as to why so I can try to use that to help things going forward. Otherwise, thanks all, and I'll catch you later.